Would I be the a-hole if I told my child's father to stop trying to establish contact? My child is now 27, so this isn't a minor we're talking about. I got pregnant at 17, and he hung around for about 6 weeks after finding out. We'd been dating for about 9 months by then. So the important details. 1. His family, parents, and siblings refused to acknowledge my child as his. I offered them visitation after, but never got a response. 2. Despite not acknowledging the paternity, his parents began threatening me with taking the baby away, threatening to lie and claim I was unfit, etc. 3. I got a lawyer's advice about enforcing a court order for him to establish both paternity and visitation rights after the threats from his family due to an increased risk of parental abduction. 4. He only contacted me twice after I had my baby. Once to see if I had a baby, then once to ask if he could take the baby for the weekend the next day. Baby was nearly 3 months old at a time, and he'd never even come by to meet the baby. I told him to establish paternity as he was not on the birth certificate because he was not present at birth, custody rights, and child support. He never contacted me directly again, not once. Over the past 27 years, he ran into a friend of mine and let slip that he'd been keeping a close eye on us, knew where we lived, knew about a haircut my child got the weekend before, and a lot of things he should not have known. So I locked down any social media accounts we had. My child was about 15 at a time. My child has known about bio father since 12, known his name and details since 18, and I have offered to help my child get in touch with him. But my child did not want to. Then about 2 weeks ago, one of his nieces reached out to my child online and wanted a DNA test done and felt confident they were cousins. After my kid and I talked about it a lot, I admitted more of the trauma they put on me during the pregnancy. But I still said, if you want to contact them, you can. They are your family. My kid said absolutely not, reached out, and basically told a cousin that it just was not going to happen. Then we got a bomb that his entire family, 4 siblings, their partners, their kids, and even grandkids, have known about my child the entire 27 years. They talk about my child often, look at photos when they can find any, and basically treat my child as his long-lost but much-wanted child. I, predictably, am the witch who stole the baby from their lives. Now his mom, who was extremely vile towards me during my pregnancy, really regrets not insisting that they have my child in their lives. I even found a baby photo I had sent them 27 years ago on her Facebook. So, would I be the a-hole if I reached out to him and told him to see himself right the hell out of our lives again? And to tell his mom that my child very much wants absolutely nothing to do with them, and that even if my child's mind changes, it will never include bio dad or his mother after everything that went down? 'Cause I kind of just want to drop a house on that witch. Now for the top comments. You would not be the a-hole. Oh my god, Opie. Your baby daddy and his family are insanely toxic and honestly creepy. He ran into a friend of mine and let slip that he'd been keeping a close eye on us, knew where we lived, knew about a haircut my child got the weekend before, and a lot of things he should not have known. This is weird that he just been watching. Now that is out of the way, I have a feeling he has been lying to his family, claiming that you kept your child away from him, when in fact, he almost was never in the child's life, nor do the child want a relationship with him. His family's insane. His mom planned to lie and call you unfit in order to take your child from you, when her own son only contacted you twice about his kid and never been in their life at all. I have a feeling the spouses/partners and the kids, my kids' cousins and even siblings, apparently there are like 15 of them, don't know what happened. His mother 100% knows how it all went down. While pregnant, I reached out via letter once to let them know how to contact me in case they wanted to be included in my child's life, as my kid was their first grandchild, and then again shortly after my baby was born with a newborn photo and another invitation to contact me and talk if they ever wanted to meet the baby. His parents never responded. It was like a punch in the gut to find out just how much he knew about us. At the time, our accounts were all private online, but I realized there were some things that had been set to public on Facebook. That said, a lot of the things he mentioned were not even posted online, where all of my kids went to school, for instance. We took steps to make sure our lives were even more private after that. For a long time, it felt like we were being watched anywhere we went. Not the a-hole. I wouldn't say you'd be an a-hole. However, I'd say since your child is 27, it's not your place to say anything anymore. Your child is legal adult and has been for nearly a decade. If your son randomly changes his mind one day to get to know the people, You don't have any say in that. Nor should you. You also should not be speaking on your son's behalf. Oh, my kid did reach out to the cousin and said basically that they wanted nothing to do with the family that put their mom through so much trauma. I reached out and talked to the cousin to make sure the cousin knew that I had never denied the dad or his family the right to be in my kid's life. And I let her know that my child would not be happy if other family members decided now was the time to get in touch. My kid was really upset at the conversation with her cousin, not because of the cousin, who was really understanding and respectful of the situation, but because they felt 27 years was way too long to suddenly decide the bio family wanted to be involved. My kid handled it well, but I wanted to just reinforce that bio dad and his mother should not take my kid's response as an invitation to suddenly reach out. Mostly, I want to reach out because of the deep anger I thought I had forgotten a long time ago. I'm so angry at the number of memories I had forgotten, at a little ways they inflicted trauma on me that I had not thought about in probably 20 years. This would solely be about me wanting to tell them off for how I was treated and for my kid being good enough to be a story, but never actually a part of the family. I know, it's a complicated mess. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my former stepmother to go F herself? Last week, I was back in my hometown helping a friend take his truck to the dealership. While it was in the shop, we went and got lunch at a pretty popular spot, and we got sat next to my former stepmother and former stepbrother. My ex-stepbro and I don't talk, but he's close with my younger sibling, because for about 8 years they lived together. I was older and really never had a connection with him. But it was me who caught my dad cheating on my mother with my now ex-stepmom when I was 12. A year later, he left us for her, moved a block away into her house. Things sucked for a while. Life was a big slap in the face for a while, and I worked through high school and college to support my mom and brother, because my dad didn't think it was his problem anymore, and my former stepmother encouraged that. Later, my ex-stepmom cheated on my dad and left him. All good in my opinion, as that relationship needed to end. Anyway, she interrupted our meal and asked me how I was. And I looked her in the eye and asked her what the heck she thought she was doing. She said, just saying hi. I looked at her and then my former stepbro and said, hey stepbro, always a pleasure to see you, my friend, as he's a bystander. Shook his hand and ignored them. She tapped my arm and said, what am I, invisible? And I lost it, to be honest. I looked at her and said, you can go F yourself. Don't speak to me. I don't want to talk to you. Who the heck do you think you are right now? Why on earth would you ever think I'd want to talk to you now that I don't legally have to? She said she was just being polite, and I asked her if she was still messing around with married guys. My friend asked for the check and we left. He was cool about it as he remembers what my home life was like. But my brother thinks I was too harsh, and my dad thinks I created drama from nothing. My wife thinks it was embarrassing even though she wasn't there. Personally, I still think she can go F herself. My friend also thought it was extreme even though he was understanding. Ha ha ha, not the a-hole. Tell it like it is. That's how I feel, but after talking to my wife, I really think I should have just been polite and left instead of being explosive. Some people just need those explosives though. Thumbs up. Your wife should understand why and how that reaction is not embarrassing. So we've talked about it a lot since I posted. I think she started to realize, reading some of these responses, that she didn't truly understand how crappy my childhood was. She's come around and now thinks that even though it wasn't ideal, it was more of an expression of a really deep pain that never completely healed, and not some unhinged anger. I think, yes, I sort of gave into some emotions I wasn't really prepared to feel, but I also think healing-wise I'm okay. It's not that I don't talk about it, or that it's some taboo subject within our family, but she grew up in a very stable and loving home, so she has a hard time wrapping her head around it all. Sometimes she underestimates the damage, other times she overestimates it. Little of both this time. So are you in contact with your dad then? He's the one who tore up your family. Don't get me wrong, I think that she's trash too. His dad wasn't present at the time. Ex-stepmother was. Nothing in the post implies that Opie gives dad a free pass. He screwed them over financially, and stepmother encouraged it. In his comment, Opie mentioned that his dad said that he created unnecessary drama. I asked Opie about his relationship with dad, though when that ex-mom knew that she was being ignored, she should have left Opie alone. But she chose to actually tap Opie. She needed to be snapped on. Opie stepped up when his low-life dad stepped down. Next story. Am I the a-hole for trying to dictate who my fiancé will walk with as a groomsman on his best friend's wedding? My fiancé Paul has a best friend, Jack. Jack has been with his fiancée Natalie for 7 years, while Paul and I have been together for 6. Natalie always had a weird obsession of hooking up Paul and her sister Mary and setting them up as a couple. Paul was never interested in Mary, but Natalie and Mary always tried to grab his attention. After Paul and I got together, Natalie would always try to exclude me from every single group gathering and would even try to set up double dates between her, Jack, Paul, and Mary. Paul wouldn't have it and set boundaries early on, but neither Mary nor Natalie respected them and kept crossing boundaries. Paul then had to cut them off and only kept contact with Jack. After some years of no contact, Natalie apologized to Paul and me about her behavior and promised it's all in the past and that her and Mary acted immaturely, and Mary has moved on as well. As grown adults, we decided to move on, but Paul kept feeling uncomfortable around Mary because she hadn't completely changed her behavior around him. Anyway, fast forward to the wedding, which is in a couple of months. Jack asked Paul to be his groomsman and Paul happily accepted. It wasn't until now that Natalie said that Paul will walk down the aisle with Mary, to which Paul refused. He listed all of the reasons and why he doesn't want to. I was also against it because Mary has indeed not changed, and neither I nor Paul are comfortable with that setting. After some back and forth, Natalie called me and begged me to convince Paul and said, "Please don't act insecure about this. You know how important a wedding is to a bride. Don't ruin this for me." To which I replied that I understand the importance of her wedding, but mine and Paul's discomfort is more important to us than her wedding. I said you could literally pick any other girl to Paul to walk with, yet you picked Mary. How convenient. After some continuous back and forth, Natalie and Jack tried to convince Paul to accept Mary in this occasion, to which he said no, and if it's such a deal breaker, then he's stepping down as a groomsman. Anyway, now Natalie and her family are accusing me and Paul for trying to dictate what they will do at their wedding and say we are the ones who are overstepping. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. The important part here is Paul's discomfort. This isn't just you dictating. Jack isn't being a good friend for insisting on this if it's making Paul uncomfortable. You said he's a groomsman, not the best man. That's the only scenario I could see where they want the maid of honor and best man to walk together for the flow, but it's not the case here. If it's going to ruin the wedding, Natalie needs to take a long, hard look at herself and why this is such a hill to die on for her. The lack of self-awareness on the bride's part shows a high level of egocentrism. She knows exactly what she's doing, not the a-hole. Maybe it's time to go no contact if they haven't changed. Why can't they walk with any other bridesmaid? That's what both Paul and I said. Why can't it be any other bridesmaid? We got no clear answer to that, besides the fact that it's the bride's vision to be that way. Lol, let's be honest. We know why it's the vision. Of course we do, but they wouldn't say that out loud. And they're still trying to hook those two up. If someone cannot respect my relationship, then I don't have a place for them in my life. I'm glad your boyfriend understood how messed up all this is. He needs to have a final talk with his friend. Flat out say if this is the hill he wants to die on, then their friendship is done. Explain how inconsiderate this is. Reverse it to the groom. How would he feel if someone was ignoring his relationship and trying to hook up his partner with someone else? This is friendship ending material right here, not the a-hole. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to bring my girlfriend's son along with me to my guy's night? I, 43 male, have been involved with my 42 female girlfriend for about a year and change. She has 3 kids, 20 female, 19 female, and 17 male. Her ex-husband abandoned the family almost immediately after the youngest was born. I like and get along with all 3 of her kids really well, but her son, who we'll call Jake, and I have especially formed a good connection. I've taken him out with me off-roading, fishing, and golfing. So, recently my girlfriend asked me what I was doing Saturday night, wanting to do something with me. I told her, sorry, but Saturday night is guys' night. I'm going to my friend's house with most of my other buddies and coworkers for poker night. She seemed a little annoyed, but said, fine, but then will you at least bring Jake along with you? I told her that we'd drink a good bit, and some of us smoke cigars, and we get a little rowdy and probably somewhat inappropriate. She said, well, obviously don't allow him to drink or smoke, but he should hang out with some guys being guys. He grew up without his father, and it would be good for him. But I just didn't want to bring him along. I admit that part of the reason why is because I just want to hang out with my buddies and have fun without having to worry about being a role model for Jake. But I also just think that this sort of environment isn't appropriate for a teenager. It's not horrible or anything, but our guys' nights are for adults. But my girlfriend seems to think that I should have included Jake, since she gave her approval. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. If Jake was grown, like 25 plus and wanted to go, it might be a little different to bring him along because he'd be able to drink, smoke, and probably even be able to hold his own in the crap talking that takes place on guys' nights. But he's 17. He can't drink. He can't smoke. And I'll be honest, I imagine it'd be uncomfortable for everybody involved to have a kid at a guy's night, unless he's used to hanging out with older guys and already has a feel for the kind of things that can and cannot be said when crap talking. But still would not be the a-hole in that situation too, in my opinion. Sometimes you need a break. It's not a break as in getting rest, but to get a break from your daily grind, be in a different environment, receive new input and experiences. OP may not get that if he brings the daily environment and responsibilities with him. It even goes beyond OP. Maybe the group of friends have worked up a little of trust and comfort to be like themselves and share thoughts and feelings, or act and unwind in ways they don't get to do elsewhere/everywhere. Bringing in a new element could ruin that experience for everyone else too. Not the a-hole. She's not thinking about this clearly. He's an underage kid, and you're his mom's boyfriend. It would be awkward for everyone involved. While it's okay she wants him around guys being guys, your guys' night is not a time for babysitting a teen. He gets fishing trips and other things you mentioned. Insist that this is not the event, especially because your friends aren't bringing their kids too. That would be unfair to them. It may even be unfair to Jake. It doesn't sound like the girlfriend asked Jake if he wanted to go to OP's poker night, just that she wants OP to take him. Most 17-year-old boys have better things to do on Saturday night, like play video games, hang out with friends, and go on dates, than sit with my mom's boyfriend and friends watching them be guys. Part of me wonders if having Jake tag along is the girlfriend's way of checking up on OP. She wanted to do something with him. He already has plans. So she wants to know what happens at these guys' night, /verify that is actually happening. Am I the a-hole for not paying for my stepdaughter's birthday dinner? My wife has 3 kids, 2 sons, 20 male and 19 male, and a daughter, 16 female from her previous marriage. Their father was an addict but is now clean. He doesn't have custody of Susie, but does visit when he can. My stepson and I aren't close, but they've been respectful to me at least. My stepdaughter, on the other hand, has not. She genuinely doesn't like me. She refuses to talk to me. She doesn't want me attending her shows, and she doesn't accept any gift I have given her, usually giving them away or tossing it in the trash. She doesn't listen to me if I am the one enforcing rules when she is grounded. It has to be her mom who puts her foot down. Her birthday was last week, and she had tests that day. My wife wanted her birthday to be extra special because she was turning 16 and had good grades. She wanted to go to an expensive restaurant with her family. I was not allowed to come according to her, but she wanted me to give her mom the money to pay for it. But I told her I would not pay. She got upset and told me it was the least I could do, and how she asks for so little. But I stood my ground, so her mom took her to a less expensive restaurant. Now Susie is upset with me. Her granddad is also upset with me, telling me I should have paid and that it was her 16th birthday that I ruined. My wife is on my side and says there's just no winning with her. But I also know how important becoming 16 is, and I feel bad for not getting her a gift at all. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. If Grandpa wanted her to have an expensive meal, he could have paid for it. You shouldn't be paying for meals for entitled teens. She needs an attitude adjustment. You cannot like someone and still be polite. Not the a-hole. You ruined nothing. Susie wants things her family can't afford. That's life. She has made it incredibly clear that you are not her family and that she wants nothing from you. Wish granted. And 16 is an anniversary of being born, not an accomplishment. She needs to decide what kind of relationships she wants with you, but as long as she is not at least being cordial, she gets no extras. I think Susie has decided. She has only started to learn that decisions may have consequences you don't like. She's still young. Hopefully, for her mother's sake, she can learn to be more cordial to her stepfather. You can dislike your parents' new spouses as much as you want or they deserve, but you can't expect them to spend their money on you if you've made it clear you hate them. She's young and stupid at her age, like all teenagers. I have sympathy to an extent because I've experienced how tough blended families can be for a kid. But if she rejects him totally, she can't expect him to pay. If it takes this to realize that maybe she should be nicer to stepdad, if only because he is the one with the money in the house, then it's a lesson learned. Though I doubt she will if the grandfather is backing her up. Don't get sucked into her paying for college though. Not the a-hole. She may be only 16, but that's not too young to learn basic respect. She can't treat you like dirt and expect you to bend over backwards and make her birthday special. Sounds like she's mad at the world and is taking it out on you. Hope she grows up a bit and sees reason. Next story. Am I the a-hole for never helping my older siblings out and letting my brother and his kids be homeless? My family is on a big divide about this, so I was hoping I could get an unbiased perspective. I am the youngest of 4 siblings by a huge gap. I am 22 female and my husband is 26. My siblings are 30 female, 32 male, 33 male. Between the 3 of them, they have a combined 14 children. They all have multiple children. None of them went to college and they all work lower-paying entry-level jobs. While I graduated last year, started college and high school, and I work as a nurse. My husband works on planes, but I don't want to say what he does specifically. Our household income is about $200K, when average where we live is about $80K, I think. This is all relevant. My parents like to host big family functions for every holiday, and they bring the whole family together. Ever since I was a teenager, my siblings have always asked me for favors, mostly to babysit. I did it for a while when I was around 16, but quickly realized they didn't appreciate anything, and there was nothing in it for me, so I stopped. And for the past 6 years, I've had the don't ask me for anything stance, since my siblings are the type to ask for favors, but never offer to help you when you need it. Like they always borrow money from our parents, but never pay it back. My oldest brother is getting evicted and asked if him and his girlfriend and their 4 kids could stay with me and my husband, as my husband and I own a 4-bedroom, 2-bath home. I told them no, because they have a habit of settling in somewhere and not paying rent and refusing to leave. They also let their 4 kids absolutely destroy every rental they live in, coloring on the walls, holes in the walls, etc. My brother and his girlfriend are now angry at me, and they blew up at us at my mother's birthday party last week. They're going to have to stay at a shelter, and they're saying it's my fault when I think it's their own lack of responsibility. My other 2 siblings chimed in, agreeing with my brother, and they think I'm a sucky a-hole. I think that my siblings suck, and I don't want my house getting torn up by their heathens. I know that if I let them move in, I'd end up having to evict them, and they wouldn't pay for anything at all. I think it's not fair that they always ask me for money just because I make more money than they do. And they treat my husband and I like we're some kind of upper-class snobs because we worked hard and made good choices in life to be able to buy a house early. Am I the a-hole for not helping my siblings? Specifically my brother, I guess. Many updates at the end. Not the a-hole. They don't pay money owed. They destroy other people's property. They also have parents and multiple other siblings. They have a history of not paying rent and having to be evicted. At this point, start asking why they're in a shelter and no one else is helping. Combined with all the siblings and parents, they can hustle and pay their rent on a new place. Since they're so invested and concerned, mom and dad can take them in. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Why can't your other brothers or sister take them in? Why is this your responsibility? All my siblings' stance on this is because my husband and I are the only ones with room. We use 1 bedroom to sleep in, 1 as a home gym, and 2 as home offices. My other 2 siblings are stuffing up to 4 kids a room and have no way of making it work. I still don't think it's my responsibility though. It's not your responsibility. Your brother made the choices he did and made himself homeless. That's not on you. Again with the I'm poor but have 157 children. Come on, if you are low on money, just have 1 or 2 kids so nobody will starve or live in shelters. Why do people put themselves in this position? So that others in the family can pay for their family? These are not your children. Your siblings are not your responsibility. They are adults and should take care of themselves. If they were sick or had an accident and it was a one-time thing, okay. But no, they just don't pay rent for a habit. Not the a-hole. My brothers don't seem to know what rubbers are. And my sister had her first at 16 and kept them coming after that. She has 6 kids with 6 different men, and she's always convinced every guy she meets is the one. I don't understand them, to be honest. We grew up in a normal middle-class household, and our parents taught us proper sex ed. I really wish they'd all get it together, to be honest. But none of them want to go to college or anything. Don't help them. They will just spend all the money and try to suck more out of you. They have definitely done that to multiple relatives, lol. For the mini update, I'm offering to pay for everyone to get a vasectomy or tubes tied this Christmas, and giving my brother enough money to cover the red roof in for a week. That's it. All I'm doing for anyone, and they better not call me ever because I'm not answering. Next story. Am I the a-hole for choosing to celebrate my sister's birthday instead of my dad's wedding? I, 27 male, have always been close with my younger sister Mary, 20 female. Mary has been overlooked by my dad from the moment she was born. My dad never wanted a daughter, and tensions with his ex-wife, Mary's mom, led to him basically excluding her from everything. Nothing she ever does is good enough for him, and she is often excluded from family gatherings. I, on the other hand, always try my best to include her, or even take her out just the two of us, to make her feel better. But it's obvious that being excluded hurts her a lot. I am my dad's golden child, and grew up spoiled, and while she tries not to show it, I can tell Mary is jealous of the attention my dad gives me. So a month from now is Mary's 21st birthday, and she's very excited about it. I live in a different state, but I made a promise to fly over on her birthday so that I could take her to get her first drink. We have been planning this for months, and I already got the tickets. Meanwhile, my dad, 56 male, is currently engaged to Janice, 57 female, and a few days ago he texted me, letting me know that their wedding plans changed, and they plan to get married in her parents' yard on June 8th. He said he knew it was short notice, but they agreed that a small ceremony would be better, so they could go to the beach for their honeymoon while it was still nice. Now, my problem isn't the short notice. My problem is that June 8th just so happens to be Mary's birthday. Like, not a day before or later. No, he plans to get married on his daughter's birthday. I brought that up, and my dad brushed it off saying it's just a date. And it wasn't like my sister was going to celebrate her birthday with us anyways. I told my dad I had already plans to fly down and celebrate Mary's birthday with her, and I wouldn't be able to make both events. He seemed shocked by this, and asked why I didn't just cancel for his wedding, since I'm already paying to come down. I could even bring Mary along, and celebrate her there if it means that much to me. I'll admit, this angered me, because the least he could do was acknowledge his daughter's birthday. I told my dad that I plan to spend my day with Mary, and the only way I will come to his wedding is if she is invited and decides to go. He tried to argue with me, saying that birthdays comes every year and weddings don't, to which I responded that this is his third, so it's not that special, but my sister turning 21 is. My dad hasn't spoken to me since then, but Janice and other family have been calling and texting me nonstop. Janice even told me that my dad has been crying and miserable over what I said, and that my selfishness has ruined their wedding. I'll admit that what I said may be harsh, but I also stand by it. I am not the one being selfish here, and if my dad wants his child at his wedding so badly, he can have all or nothing. However, my dad and family are still mad at me, and saying that I'm being petty and ruining his big day. So am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I would bet every penny I have that your dad did this intentionally. Screw him. The only valid reason to go to his wedding is to crash it with Mary and make a scene. Not that I'm suggesting this. He's already on marriage number 3. And do you really want to sit through any more of those than you have to? Crash or don't, but I'm the flavor of petty to drop technically true information in order to cause maximum chaos. Hypothetically, you could come back around for the reception with Mary and be astonished that your genetic donor planned a surprise party for her. Look, they even got the extended relatives into town to celebrate this big milestone birthday. What do you mean it's not for her? Today is his daughter's 21st birthday. What could be more important to him than that? He'd have to A, say that he forgot her birthday, B, admit it was on purpose, or C, go along with it and fold her birthday into the celebration. Toasted no matter what he does. Nah, just tell him he'll make up for it in his 4th wedding. Not the a-hole. Pick your sister. She deserves at least one family member who cares about her. Your dad can have Janice and keep crying. If his marriage to Janice even lasts that long, because his dad is such a moronic jerk to jinx his own wedding and marriage by having it on his daughter's birthday, I think the pressure and stress of knowing Opie will always pick a sister over his father is going to make father ruin that third marriage, leading to a fourth wedding/marriage. Not the a-hole, especially since going forward, Opie will always going to celebrate his sister's birthday instead of his father's third marriage wedding anniversary. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom she is stalkerish and to leave me alone? I, 33 female, married mother of 2, have a close relationship with my mom, and we often speak multiple times a day. However, some days I'm busy, have nothing interesting to say, or just don't check my phone for a few hours. This becomes a problem with my mom. If I don't answer messages or calls within a few hours, I get calls and messages asking if something is wrong. For example, I was going wedding dress shopping with a bridesmaid. Mom doesn't live close, so was unable to come. So I sent her pictures of dresses throughout the day and let her know when I'd chosen one. I told her I needed a shoulder covering of some sort, and that we were going to nearby shopping center to find one. I may have sounded a bit flustered, but nothing more than usual pre-wedding stresses. 1.5 hours later, my bridesmaid's phone rings. It's my mom, desperately trying to find out if I'm okay. My mom had only met this bridesmaid once, didn't know her well, and certainly didn't have her number. Apparently unable to contact me because it was loud in the shopping center, and my signal wasn't great, she'd become so concerned she'd contacted my husband to ask for his sister's number, the bridesmaid, and phoned her instead. This was just 1.5 hours after our last contact. This may seem a small irritation, except it happens all the time. Then yesterday, my mom texted me first thing in the morning. I text back. A few hours later, she called. I answered and told her we were about to leave for the park. After, we spent afternoon gardening, and I left my phone inside. Around 5, just 5 hours after I last spoke with Mom, I saw she texted me to ask if we had fun at the park at around 2:30 p.m. Busy cooking dinner, I intended to text back after eating. I next looked an hour later. She'd sent 2 further messages asking if something was wrong, and had called me. She called again at that point. I answered, a little exasperated. She immediately began asking what was wrong. I told her nothing, and she needed to stop assuming things were wrong when her adult daughter is out of contact for a few hours. She said her actions were entirely reasonable because in the past I've had medical issues, none of which were serious. I told her it wasn't reasonable. In response, she said, well, I assume with that attitude, you were fine then. This made me a bit angry. This happens regularly, and I'm fed up being treated like a child when 33 with 2 children of my own. Surely it's okay to be out of contact with Mom for a few hours? And in my annoyance, I said her behavior was bordering on stalkerish, and it's ludicrous to expect me to check in several times a day. This panic about my well-being is almost a weekly occurrence. We haven't spoken since, but she deleted the messages she sent yesterday. Unsure what that achieves, but she tends to act like a wounded puppy when I bring this up. Each time, I feel guilty for hurting her feelings. But should I feel guilty? Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You need to set major boundaries with your mom. The fact she called your husband because she was worried about you to get someone's number. Why did your husband give it to her? He should have just said, she's fine. You need to wait for her to call. She took it too far. Boundaries are important. At this point, I once again recommend the book, Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents by Lindsay C. Gibson. Opie's mom is wanting to be enmeshed with her daughter, which is totally unhealthy. Not the a-hole. Your mother needs coping mechanisms, and you need to set boundaries and stick to them. There's no reason for your mother to be checking in on you multiple times a day. You have your own nuclear family that you need to spend time with. A once-a-week call with some text in between should be sufficient, and to expect responses back right away is ridiculous. I'm so sorry you have to deal with it. Caving in is in part enabling the behavior as well. Not the a-hole, but Opie, you need to stop giving her what she wants. She will never improve if you don't stop answering like this. Having a relationship where you choose to call her every second day or so is better for you both long-term than you jumping every time she asks. She will react badly at first, but she's an adult, and she's responsible for managing her own emotions.